This week on BuzzFeed Unsolved, we explore the case of a little girl named Pinang who disappeared in a remote area in the Philippines.
A little girl, huh? And she just suddenly disappeared from the face of the earth?
I believe this story has captivated millions of people with such a tragic story between a mother and a daughter. Let's get into the story. Having no father or husband in the picture projected quite a challenging life to Aling Rosa, the mother of Pinang. Pinang, who served to be Aling Rosa's only child, grew up to be spoiled and spoon-fed. It was said that Aling Rosa wanted Pinang to learn at least a few household chores, but Pinang always seemed to refuse. Pinang claimed that she already knew what to do. But Aling Rosa, being the lenient mother she was, left her daughter alone to do whatever she wanted.
She's that spoiled?
Well, she's an only child.
Okay. One unfortunate day, Aling Rosa suddenly got sick and had no strength to get up. She had asked Pinang if she could cook her some food, specifically porridge. Pinang surprisingly obliged to cook the porridge, but left it unattended as she went outside to play. The meal she cooked ended up burning. But despite Aling Rosa knowing this, she even felt sorry for her beloved daughter and simply appreciated the fact that Pinang attempted to serve her food and disregarded the act of Pinang burning the porridge.
Okay, who would want to eat burnt porridge?
Not me. Why would she even leave an open flame unattended? How old was this girl?
I mean, Pinang must be old enough for her mother to ask her to cook, right?
But clearly not old enough to know how flames work.
Aling Rosa's condition eventually got worse and young Pinang was forced to attend to her sick mother. This is the part where it gets interesting. One day, Aling Rosa asked Pinang to cook for her, but Pinang told her mother she couldn't find the matches. On another day, Pinang didn't know where the ladle was, and so she asked her mother again for help. This slothful behavior of Pinang constantly asking questions became a cycle that rattled Aling Rosa to burst. Pinang, I hope you grow eyes all around your head so that you won't have to ask what's already right in front of you. This was the last thing Aling Rosa said to her daughter. Pinang stayed quiet to appease the situation and immediately went outside to look for the ladle.
It was sundown when Aling Rosa called for Pinang to prepare her food. No response. Aling Rosa tried again, but no one answered back. This motivated Aling Rosa to stand and cook her food.
A few days after the worrying incident between Aling Rosa and Pinang, Aling Rosa finally recovered from her sickness and began to search for her daughter. Neighbors of the family claimed that they have not seen Pinang around the area. It was as if Pinang had disappeared from the face of the earth. There was no trace of her. However, it doesn't end here.
Where is this going?
One fateful morning, Aling Rosa noticed a peculiar plant sitting in her backyard. She did not know what it was, and so she continued to take care of it. Much to her surprise as it grew, the plant had taken on the shape of a human head with what seemed to look like eyes enveloping its entire being. At that moment, Aling Rosa recalled her last words to Pinang. Guilt overflowed as the mother wept on her knees. She decided to take good care of the plant and eventually named it after her daughter, Pinang. The word Pinang became the word we know as of today, Pinya, but that's just hearsay. With the case now unfolded, let's move on to the plot analysis. As we recalled from the introduction of the story, Pinang and Mother Rosa lived in a remote area.
It's clearly established that they began with introducing the setting.
Yes, and it was just the two of them. I think it's time to look into their relationship as mother and daughter. So, Aling Rosa is the mother of Pina. She is very caring all in all, but she became too lenient towards her. Considering the facts here, I believe that she is the protagonist in the story. She only wanted what's best for her daughter.
On the other hand, we have Pinang. Well, Pinang the antagonist. She always seemed to work against the goals of her mother, and she also seemed very detached. I wonder why. I see no change. Throughout the story, it felt like Pinang never showed evident signs of her changing her behavior. Kinda sketchy.
But then again, Pinang was an only child and was greatly loved by her mother, which most likely became the reason why she ended up being spoiled.
But why disappear?
Well, it says in the rising action that Aling Rosa got sick. And because of that, she had to ask Pinang for help and cook for her. But Pinang was too stubborn to wait for the porridge to even cook. But take note, Aling Rosa felt sorry for what happened and let it go as she appreciated the thought that Pinang served for her.
Sounds like Pinang doesn't fully care for her mother. Really shows how lenient of a mother Aling Rosa is.
And Aling Rosa's condition got worse. Of course, Pinang had to take over. But instead of making things easy for her mother, she became more inattentive, even asking where the ladle was, which ended up contributing to Aling Rosa's outbursts. This was the peak of the story.
For such a loving mother, I never thought a ladle could make her snap.
I think it's also worth noting the way Pinang knew to stay quiet when she knew her mother was mad. Then after she went outside of their house to look for the ladle. When evening came, Mother Rosa was calling for Pinang to prepare her food, but no one answered.
She's spoiled, but with a little bit of respect? Fear, even. The story from this point on starts to escalate down from the conflict. Falling action, as they say. This part shows Aling Rosa's recovery from her sickness and the beginning of her search for Pinang. But despite her efforts, Pinang was never found. What Aling Rosa found instead a few days later was a strange-looking plant with eyes around it.
Needless to say, Aling Rosa remembered her last encounter with Pinang. It was at that moment she was left with an obligation to take care of the plant and to accept the truth that she was at the tail end of seeing her daughter again.
Guilt.
What?
It was definitely her guilt. That's the reason why she continued to take care of the plant. If she didn't know that that was her daughter, I don't think she would have continued to look after it.
There's something significant about how the story was presented. It leaves us with the impression that we have to be mindful of the way we respond to what is being said. So, what do you think?
Well, this story is definitely in third person, but I don't think it's omniscient at all.
Why do you think so?
It's more of third person limited. It wasn't all-knowing, but it seemed like we only knew what was going on in Aling Rosa's head, despite being narrated by an outsider. How come we never knew how Pinang reacted when she burnt the porridge? Nor what prompted her to go out after her mother got mad? Was it out of fear or anger?
Their relationship was clearly detached. I mean, these two are against each other. Seems like a man versus man to me. Aling Rosa's struggle was coming from an external conflict. The fact that she can't order her own daughter to do anything she asks.
But at the same time, it also seems like a man versus self, you know? This doesn't apply to the whole story, but more towards the part where Aling Rosa expressed her remorse for suddenly bursting out on her daughter. Definitely an internal conflict right at the end of the story.
I definitely agree with that. Acting before thinking is regret.
Yep, that's the theme. Aling Rosa's rash statement made her forget that consequences could come along with it. It's like the old saying, what goes around comes around.
I believe that's the moral of the story. So to all of you listeners, please be very mindful of what you say. The twist.
In our present time today, some speculate that many people are on the verge of experiencing the same fate as Pinang, turning into a pinya or a pineapple. These are said to be people who remain blind to the injustices of certain people in power.
It was believed that a few years later, after Pinang as a pineapple grew, Mother Rosa eventually ended up as a pineapple herself. She married a person of power and reaped off of the corruption money that came from taxpayers. But despite knowing this, Mother Rosa chose to stay blind, which eventually led to her demise into a pineapple. This is a perfect representation for those who choose to stay blind and indifferent.
There's so much problems in the world right now, but clearly some have different priorities.
That's true.
I mean, a new helicopter or a white sand beach in the city? Really? Is that what we need right now when there's millions of people suffering from a deadly virus? Where'd all the funds go? Oh, we don't know because they pretend to be blind.
And a lot of people are still violating quarantine protocols. I've seen posts about people eating at restaurants and partying, not wearing masks. Minimizing contact with people is what matters right now.
Sucks. Kinda looks like we're going to be infested with pineapples soon enough.
I hope not. Indifference is the worst kind of disease that can affect people.
Well, that's it.
Yes. That wraps up this week's episode of BuzzFeed Unsolved. Stay tuned for the next episode where we encounter Philippine mythology.
Bye.